Alright, so the synopsis.
Synopsis.
Forever alone in a crowd, failed comedian Arthur Fleck seeks connection as he walks the streets of Gotham City. Arthur wears two masks, the one he paints for his day job as a clown and the guise he projects in a futile attempt to feel like he's part of the world around him. Isolated, bullied, and disregarded by society, Fleck begins a slow descent into madness as he transforms into the criminal mastermind known as the Joker.
Well, it's a really intense movie. I don't think
It's so much more than that.
It's so much more than that. So much more complicated. So much more. It's just so intense. So intense.
It's very in depth. The first thing that I think we should touch base on is how authentic and just, I don't know, unimaginably amazing Joaquin Phoenix is.
Oh my God, incredible! Honestly,
I mean, there's no way that you can be in such a character and then fulfill it as much as he did.
Oh, for sure. And the Joker's a really hard character to play. I mean, not anyone, as we saw Jared Leto, not any actor can play the Joker. He's a very interesting character. He's a very mysterious character. He's got a range as an actor. I mean, we've seen Joaquin Phoenix in a lot of roles. Nothing like this before. I don't think we've ever seen a role besides Taxi Driver. And I see a lot of people are comparing this movie to Taxi Driver. So, I mean, we've seen characters like that before, but we've never seen Joaquin Phoenix in a role like that before. And I just think he killed it.
Joaquin losing the weight to fulfill this character, I mean, reminds me of Christian Bale in The Machinist. I mean, if you watch the movie and see how, his skin and bones are, it's just so intense.
It's not an easy thing to do, and it's not healthy either.
No,
so, I mean,
and
just
that
really,
in and of itself makes you go crazy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, no carbs. Just imagine.
We get hungry so easily.
Yeah.
So yeah, doing that.
Freaking minds.
Yeah, doing that will definitely make you go off the edge.
He lost his mind, but I don't think at any point did he really lose control. He was hurting people that have hurt him, whether it was emotionally or physically. So yeah, man, it was just he was a very intense character. It was a very intense take.
Yeah, he was. And the thing is, with his character, it wasn't just about him going crazy or, him, like you said, going on killing sprees.
No, he had just had enough, honestly.
It was about him going over the edge and having to take out that anger and having his mental illnesses.
Society failed him on, I think, every level, and I think that's the whole theme of the movie, of how society failed him. His coworkers, his workplace, where, he said it multiple times, he loved his job. His coworkers failed him. No one believed him when he said, the sign was taken away, that he was jumped and all that. So he loses his job. Well, I mean, he lost it because of the gun, when the gun falls out in the hospital. His mom fails him, or at least we think she did, when she betrays him, and she's lying to him. Apparently he's adopted and he was abused and all that. And even if that's not the truth, even if the fact she lied to him about Thomas Wayne being his father, that's another betrayal. So I mean, he's the whole movie, society just failing him. So at one point,
I think that there's a big difference between society failing him and also what he's willing to go through to get help. So, I mean, the point that the social worker makes at the very beginning, the first social worker, is that they're cutting funding. She can't see him anymore to counsel him. And so that, he's trying to get help, but it doesn't seem like he's really getting too far. Now, is that the counselor's fault or is that his fault? It's a very short snippet, but you can, again, this whole movie is to interpret it how you want to. They've showed a lot of points where it seems like society's failing him, but again, brings it back to what is he willing to do to get the help that he needs.
Right. And just from looking at his journal, seeing it 4 times, you start noticing a little bit more than others, I guess. His journal that he was supposed to, the counselor specifically asked him to bring in this journal to their meeting, and he opens up this journal and he specifically says, this is also a joke journal. He's an aspiring comedian, and the jokes in there aren't really funny. They're not funny jokes. They're sick, dark, twisted humor And that just comes to show he's supposed to be keeping this to really try to help himself mentally. Instead, he's working on a non-existing career that he thinks he has a future in. And I think that just says a lot about his character and how delusional he is.
Yeah, and I mean, my thing is that they showed a lot about what it took for him to get to where he is, but not as much as I would have liked. So, them showing, how I guess neglected he was and how he didn't have the father figure and everything like that, okay, that shows how he is now, but all of the things in the past,
Right.
they didn't actually show scenes of it. So we don't know if that's real.
Exactly, and you really at this point, even at the end of the movie, you don't know whether he got mentally ill from the abuse he faced as an adopted child, or if he was actually, I forget his mother's name, but if he was actually her actual son, her and Thomas Wayne's son, and he just inherited the mental illness. You really don't know towards the end of the movie. So I mean, it could have always been, it could have been society failing him, but it also could have been something that was in him. We really don't know what his past was or what it consisted of, which that's such a Joker thing. You really never know where the character stems from or what caused him to lose his mind. But I really do like how in this movie I mean, it's the closest we've gotten to actually know the truth or some version of the truth. His version of the truth.
Yeah, it's definitely his version because again, they don't touch base on actual footage, actual memories, and even if they were memories, you could argue that they're not.
Right. The only flashback, it was a scene of his mom at the hospital being interrogated or whatever. It was, I think she was being her counselor or a cop.
No, I think she was in like asylum.
Yeah, and you see Arthur Fleck there. Present day Arthur Fleck. He's not a kid. It's not like he's remembering something. No, it's a present day. This is once again from his point of view, what he thinks, like how he imagines the conversation went. So you can't really, I mean, you have to take it with a pinch of salt, I think, at this point.
Yeah. No, definitely. So there's a lot of what ifs and could this be true? Could it not be true? Scenarios that happen.
The only thing we know for sure is that he's a loner. He was lost, at least at a certain point, until he throws a mask on. He spent his time up until that point trying to find himself, and in the process, he ends up creating a whole movement, which I don't think he was planning to do. And he even says it on the interview on the TV show. Am I the type of clown to create a movement? And a revolution, and he's talking about how he's not into politics, how he doesn't, but he is the one that created everything. He is the one. Supposedly, he's the one that essentially leads to Thomas Wayne, who was about to run for mayor and everything, heavy on politics. He's the one that leads to his death. I mean, it's the revolution, it's the protest that he caused, or that we think he caused, and that's the thing. Throughout the whole movie, you really don't know whether he's the one, like, is he the one in the mask? Is he maybe just reading about it in newspapers? Is he, seeing it on TV and just thinking, imagining, oh yeah, that was me. Because, I mean, he's so desperate to matter, he's so desperate to exist. That,
and find his way, yeah.
Exactly, right.
And I think the main part, it's his first killings, which are the three guys on the subway. Actually, us talking too, I've thought of another theory.
A bit more aware.
Yeah, a bit more, aware of the situation in the sense that Randall, his friend at his job that he got fired from, the clown job, gave him a gun. And at first he didn't accept it. What if it was Randall that did the killings and he never even accepted the gun?
Wow.
What if it's all in his mind? But, I mean, I know he winds up having the gun at the hospital.
Well, I was going to go another route with that. I was going to say, what if Randall never gave him the gun? What if he actually purchased the gun himself?
Yeah.
And, yeah.
And didn't?
Yeah.
There's so many things. So, he could think up these things in his mind and think that he's done it. Definitely like a delusional, psychotic.
He's delusional, but also, once again, he's not killing random people. Even on the train, he wasn't the one, that took out the Glock and just shot him up. No, I mean, these were
they
alleged
were definitely going
rapists.
after him.
Right. I mean, they were pretty much trash talking that lady on the tram. And it wasn't until he started laughing,
Yeah.
uncontrollably, that she kind of was able to, walk away. And then they started focusing their attention onto him, and they started beating the shit out of him. And his response was he took out the gun and shot him. And I'm not in any way condoning what he did or siding with him, but you also
No.
can't say he just walked on that train
Right.
with the intention of shooting everyone on there.
No, it's definitely all of his anger that he takes out. He takes it out on people that have
Hurt him.
wronged him.
Yeah.
And he specifically says that to the leprechaun guy. I'm sorry, I can't think of his name.
That's fucked up. Let's just call him Pete. I don't remember his name.
I forget his name.
Pete.
Super nice, super nice.
Oh,
he
super nice.
cared about Arthur so much. He would
was
ask
the
him
only
how
one.
he's doing.
Right.
Again, he was his co-worker from his job that he got
At
fired
Ha-Ha's.
from. Yeah, Ha-Ha's. So, he specifically tells him, you have been the only one that's been nice.
Right.
And he doesn't kill him.
And man, that scene was so intense because at that point he has, he just earlier in the movie he finds out his mom's delusional. She might be lying to him. He goes to ask her about it. He kills her, and at that point you just don't know who he's gonna kill next. And when they come to his apartment to check up on him, he's already in the mask. So obviously at that point you just know something's about to pop off. And man, no, I was scared for them. I mean, I thought he was gonna kill both of them. So after he kills Randall, you're almost like 99% sure he's gonna kill Pete. I don't know his name. You're almost like 99% sure he's gonna kill him. And when he's trying to walk out, like he scares him a bit, makes him jump, and I jumped in the theater. And then he actually lets him go. He walks to the door and it's locked. And at that point, for sure.
I giggled. I couldn't help but giggle.
Dude, I thought that was it. And then he opens up the lock, opens up the door.
I knew that was coming. I was like,
closes it again. And I'm like, okay, he's dead. And then he opens it, kisses him on the forehead, lets him go. Like, that's my Joker. That's my Joker. He's just, I don't know, man. I mean, this take on the Joker is just amazing. It's really interesting. Not something expected from Todd Phillips, someone who does not have any background in this type of genre. I would have honestly thought he would have taken something straight from the comic books, and I mean, obviously threw his own spin on it. But no, this is a fresh take. Once again, if you're going to compare it to Taxi Driver did not have Joaquin Phoenix, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for this movie being successful and for the character of Joker being successful. Because I mean, honestly, if you were to ask me, I mean, where would I rate this Joker just from the past ones we've seen? I mean, you've got Jared Leto's Joker, which is like ground deep. Just sucks. Because even Heath Ledger's Joker, as realistic, he was in a realistic world, but I mean, he was a mastermind. He was very smart. I mean, he kills random people. He steals money he doesn't even use. He throws it away. That's not his motive. Whereas Arthur Fleck, he's not doing that. He's hurting people that have hurt him. He's not going after the rich. He's not going after the poor. He's pretty much defending himself. I mean, if that's what you want to call it. We're looking at a Joker that's just, he's had enough, and he just reacted. I mean, honestly, if you were to take away the whole clown mask and everything and the title Joker, this would still be the same movie. It doesn't have to be like a Joker movie. I mean, this could have been any type of character. You could have named him anything. I mean, it could have been just a random Arthur Fleck, not a Joker movie, and it would still, had the same theme. It's someone that's been just at the edge, and he reacts, It's not like there's a whole plot or like a whole climax where, he's planning for a mission or something, and then something goes wrong, and that's the movie,
Yeah, and I think that's, to me, what I took out of it, working in the psychology field too, is just that mental illnesses, they're not a taboo. They're not something that's uncommon or should be shunned. I mean, it's something that needs to be talked about. It's something that needs to be normal in the sense that we don't have to hide it. And he felt like he had to hide himself and that he couldn't get the help that he needed. And that, once everyone kept coming after him, that's when he broke. And everyone will eventually break. I mean, that's how we are as humans. But, I mean, when you have a mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely worse coping with things than it would be for people that don't.
Right, right.
So, I mean, I think that that's the biggest thing, is to make sure that we're always asking for help,
Mm-hmm.
and that we're making it known that something's wrong. He kept a lot of things to himself.
Well, I think it's just because he didn't have any friends.
And that's what I was going to say. Yeah, he didn't have anyone to go to.
Right.
And that's because, you know, what his goals were, and other people not understanding him,
mm-hmm.
and also
mm-hmm.
how he was raised, depending on, you know, if his background was true and if he
mm-hmm.
was abused. Again, we don't know if that was the truth.
And you can tell he doesn't really remember much from his past, too. He obviously doesn't remember his childhood.
Well, but that's the thing. With abuse, we actually put it behind us. And
is that what it was, though, or was it from what they did to him in the hospital? Because he was on a bunch of pills.
That's true,
and
too.
Once he leaves the hospital, his counselor asks him, why were you in there?
Right.
And he answers, who knows? So, what if, who knows, honestly, what happened to him in that hospital, and what they had him on. Because another thing I noticed, his laugh, his uncontrollable laugh, he only had it when he was on his medication. Once it ran out, it was over with. Now, I don't know if it had to do with him actually being in the mask and the Joker mask and everything, and it was just like his confidence, or if it really had something to do with what he was on. And we don't really see him at all throughout the movie laughing out of joy or anything until the end, until the very, very end, where he's locked up in the cell and he's laughing, and his counselor asks him what's funny, and he says, just thought of a joke, and she asks, what's the joke? And he answers, you wouldn't get it. That's the first time we really see him laughing and actually enjoying his time, as opposed to when
I think he's content, though.
Yeah, and you've got to think, how far into the future are we? Are we like a day later, a week later, 10 years later? Because at that point, when they flash back to Bruce Wayne in the alleyway with his parents dead, do you think by the time he's locked up in that cell, was Bruce Wayne already Batman? Or was it still present day, So you really don't know what the joke is by the end of the movie. Or was the whole movie a joke,
Yeah, was everything just made up in his mind?
Was he in that cell the whole movie and he just imagined everything?
Yeah.
It could be.
That's what I thought at the very end.
Dude, honestly, Arthur Fleck might not even be our actual Joker. Like, the Joker that we know and love, that might not be Arthur Fleck. He might have inspired someone out there crazy enough to become the actual Joker. But as a moviegoer, I'd like to think some of what happened actually happened. Because that climax, when he finally appears on the TV show in front of his idol, the man who he's been idolizing, which Robert De Niro really killed that role, even though he wasn't in it much. Yeah, you can tell Todd Phillips is a huge Robert De Niro fan. Just a lot of references, a lot of things from his older movies. And yeah, when Arthur Fleck finally meets him on the show, and he's in full Joker, and asks him, please present me as a Joker, and everything, and just the conversation those two have, you just know where it's leading up to, especially since during the movie.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like I knew what it was leading up to.
Because of how he was acting in his apartment, right? When he would rehearse and everything, take out the gun.
Right, when he was rehearsing and shooting himself.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to when he got on the stage and how the conversation went, and it spiraled, and it didn't go the way that he planned, and he was getting ridiculed even more, then that's when he pointed the gun. Instead of pointing the gun at himself and, ending his life and making a point, he lashed out and did it to someone.
You've got to think, if when he admitted, we obviously knew he didn't feel bad about killing those three people, especially when everyone kind of idolized the clown in the mask that killed them. He felt important. He felt like he mattered. He felt like he existed. But you've got to think if he was starting to feel bad about it or not. Either way, when he admits it on the TV show, and just everyone's reaction, I think, kind of pissed him off and set him off. When he was like, I'm tired of pretending it's not funny. It is. Comedy's subjective, and he just loses his shit. Everyone's laughing at him. And then, Robert De Niro goes like, that's just awful. It's awful. And then he goes like, you're awful. And that face he makes and that camera angle, dude, just killed it. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was that was a very.
And just you knew with the music, like with the score in the background, and the score in this movie was everything. For every single scene, Arthur was like losing his shit, or even like after every killing or whatever, just the score really fit well. It was amazing. Yeah, when he looks at him, he says, "You're awful," and he goes like, "How about another joke?" And that's when it just blows up, blows up. It was epic, man. And then he grabs the camera and he goes like, he throws out the line, and that's life. But they cut him off, and you go back to the streets of Gotham, um, and yeah, man, the movie just from that point, like a masterpiece, honestly, just pure art. And it's not once again not something I expect from Todd Phillips. So I'm really glad we got. I'm really glad we got this movie. I'm really glad we got this version of the Joker. I'm really glad we got to see Joaquin Phoenix do this.
You're really glad?
I love this movie, dude. It's amazing. Honestly, it's not what I expected at all.
Yeah.
But it's everything I wanted at the same time.
Yeah.
You know? It really is. I want to go see it for a fifth time.
Oh my god. No, yeah, it was definitely intense, and it can be interpreted many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But main thing again is being aware of mental illnesses.
Right. And do you think that's a theme though? You think the whole theme is for society to be more? Yeah.
To me.
It's probably because of the field you work in and everything.
Yeah.
And that's just how you see things.
That's definitely how I see it, because I mean, I feel like that's the whole premise of Gotham too.
Yeah.
I mean, they've gotten so far gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say that they can't be helped, but they just need a lot of help all at once.
It's just, they make it seem like the people that want to play that role, that want to help the city, Thomas Wayne and everything, they make them seem very thuggish, and that they have an agenda of their own, and you really don't know what their motives are. And you really, at some point, start feeling like Arthur is the victim. You don't side with him. I'm not going to say once again that I side with him or condone anything he does, but you start just feeling like they are the victim. You
right,
know?
No, and you're seeing his side.
Right.
A person with a mental illness, his side.
Right, once again, you're seeing everything from Arthur Fleck's point of view.
Yeah.
Thomas Wayne could be a fucking great man. I mean, we really don't know. I mean, it's just how, every conversation Arthur has, every conversation we saw Thomas Wayne have was through Arthur's eyes.
Right.
And I think Todd Phillips, the direction he took the Waynes in this movie, it wasn't too much. You really, I mean, at some points, I forgot we were in a DC world, which is great because of the past few movies we've gotten weren't that great. So it kind of felt like a cross-world kind of movie, which was nice. It was nice. I really liked how they included that alley scene, where the Waynes get shot and everything. I know we've seen it multiple times before, but just to kind of connect it to the Joker, and the fact that it might have been because of him,
But that's the thing, that scene seems as if it could have been just the thought.
Right. He could have just read about it on the news and, I want to be important, I want to matter, I was responsible for that. That could have been the whole movie. And I love how, at the end, we just don't know.
Yeah, we just don't know. Alright, so now for the rating. Out of 10, I would say it was a good 7.5 out of 10.
Okay. What was it that you didn't like? Why not the full 10?
I would say that I wanted them to touch more based on his specifics of his past. I mean... Childhood?
Or like just earlier?
Childhood.
Okay.
And the reality. And, just maybe flashbacks. Because this definitely wasn't a movie about flashbacks. It was... him now.
If it was a movie about flashbacks, it would have been like the origin of the origin.
No, I know, but still, at least a few things, honestly.
They could always do something like that in a sequel.
Exactly, exactly. So that's what I like about this movie is the fact that they could play on it so many ways. They can do before, him.
I'd still like to see a sequel with Joaquin Phoenix. Maybe it could be, the sequel would still be the same movie, just from... we'd see what led to those points.
Yeah, exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. That's what I would really love.
Yeah, so instead of a sequel of way, way too far in the future with an already existing Batman or anything like that, it would still be somewhat present day.
Right.
And we would get some confirmation as to what was real and what wasn't, because I'm very, very curious. I would rate it. Yeah, I would a 10 out of 10. Honestly, there's nothing I didn't like about this movie, except Alfred. I did not like the actor they cast for that. They were just kind of weird, just random. But besides that, I would not change anything. The score, the cinematography, Joaquin Phoenix, incredible. Highly recommend this movie. I highly recommend that you see it more than once, because I feel like a lot went over my head. And I mean, I've read some of the comics.
Right.
You know, I've watched the past movies and everything. And I like to think I caught most of the Easter eggs in the first showing. But the actual movie, just I feel like a few things went over my head. Definitely watch it more than once. Definitely see it with your friends, so you know you can talk about it after. Because this movie, I mean, it's gonna be talked about for a while, and
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people were expecting the conversation to be, you know, this movie's gonna cause violence, it's gonna cause mass shootings, whatever. Because
It wasn't that way at all.
it was not. I've seen a lot worse movies. I mean, if you're a DC fan, Watchmen, a lot more gruesome, a lot more crude, a lot more violent. It's a lot worse. So yeah, definitely not that type of movie. It's intense, very very intense. It's gonna drain you. I mean, by the end of the movie, you're usually like, what the, honestly. But yeah, 10 out of 10. That's our review of Joker. So I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Anything else you'd like to say?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, expect more reviews. There's definitely a lot more to talk about, especially for the remainder of 2019. We still have Star Wars coming out. We still have a few video games that we're gonna be reviewing for you guys. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.